So I wanted to talk about this video is called, we'll call it human potential. Your human potential. What you can do. And this is on an individual basis. And this goes beyond Street Fighter. You can apply this to any game. You can apply this to your work. You can apply this to your relationships. Like, everything that you do in life has a competitive element to it. And everything reflects on you. It's all your fault. You do something, that's on you. You pretty much control the outcome of your life, right? Whether it be the game, you go in a game, you do well, you win, or you go in a game, you do bad and you lose. That's your fault, right? So I wanted to explain that mental approach. And I have a ruler here, right? And I wanted to explain that your personal human potential and what it means on a scale here, okay? So we'll call this over here on this side your 100% maximum human potential. Say of playing a perfect game, like making no mistakes, executing exactly what you wanted to. This over here would be perfection, okay? This down here would be complete and utter failure. You didn't do anything you want, like nothing happened right, you just got perfected, right? Whatever. Total failure. And this would be, in the middle. Now each one of us individually has our own range. Sometimes we go and play good, we're at the top of our range, and then when we play bad, we're at the bottom of our range. But per us individually, we can only play so good or play so bad, right? We each have a range. Now, what I'm telling you is that we can train ourselves to tighten up our range so that even if we play bad, we're still playing close to our best, okay? Now, this is a typical human range right here. A big range like this. Now, when people play bad, sometimes they play bad because they got intimidated. They're like, oh shoot, I got to play against Daigo, and so just thinking that I got to play against them, like they start to change their game plan. They go in, they start playing all cautiously. They get on the defensive, totally not their style, totally out of their game plan. They just get crushed. That's the low end of your spectrum. That's the worst you could do. Now, most people can't play to this level up here. We'll call this the Tomo or the Daigo level, the world champion level, right? Most people have the potential. You could play in the 90-something percentile, right? So this is more realistic. Now, in order to move this spectrum up so that you can play closer to your maximum potential even when you're playing bad, here's what we need to do. Number one, to move this up. Don't focus on the player. If you go into the tournament and you're like, I gotta play against Daigo or whatever, you're automatically gonna lower your spectrum right off the bat, no matter what you think. Mentally, you've already defeated yourself somewhat, and you're already thinking different bad things. Okay? That's why I say, when you go into the tournament, to move this up, to get up to a higher minimum level, play against the character. If you're playing against Rue, let's say, for example, or M. Bison or whatever, if you're just looking at the character and you forget who you're playing against, like just block that out of your mind, you're looking at Rue and you're like, okay, I'm playing against Rue. Your mind will automatically, instinctually give you confidence because you've already beat Rue like 1,000 times. Like, I can beat Rue in my sleep like a drum. Like, he sucks. Your mind will automatically take over and give you this internal confidence that you could do this, right? Which is a key element to move this minimum bar up. You need confidence in order to keep this range as narrow as possible. So now you're thinking, okay, I beat Rue 1,000 times, I can do this, right? So now we've moved up the minimum bar. So now if you're feeling good and everything goes your way, you could play at your maximum potential. And if it doesn't, you still have that confidence. You still have that basic element of you forgot who you're playing against, which is just part of it. And you can only play this badly, okay? Now here's the second thing you need to do to move this bar up to here. And that is, don't be afraid to lose. This is key. Because All these things lead up to a narrow margin of playing good and bad, okay? Not being afraid of the player only moves it up so far. Now we need to move to the next step of the mental game, which is don't be afraid to lose. This is key. Now, if you're playing against Rue and you're not afraid to lose, you're going to execute your game plan, right? Just have confidence. Believe in yourself, right? I know it sounds corny and stupid as hell, but not being afraid to lose is not a cliche. You cannot achieve your maximum potential without taking certain risks that you know you're going to take during the game. So just don't be afraid to lose. Also, another part of that is if you get comboed or something like that and you're losing by a large margin, you can't be overwhelmed with, oh, you know, this guy's better than me, or see, now you're thinking about the player again. You're not thinking about the Rue, right? Because you've been down against Rue before and you've come back and win. So that shouldn't do anything to your mental game whatsoever. Now, not being afraid to lose, well, if you have that attitude, then no matter how much you're losing by, it won't change your game, okay? You can't be afraid to lose, because even the best in the history of the world lose at one point, right? You cannot win every single time. You can't do it. I've witnessed things, I've witnessed people, I've been in the presence of greatness, okay? I mean, I've seen the impossible done, and I've seen it right in front of my eyes, right in front of me. I've seen it. And I'm telling you, even the greatest that has ever lived can lose, okay? And they can. You guys all know this. So knowing that you have the attitude that you're not afraid to lose, I guarantee you that that attitude is going to lead to winning more often. It's going to put you in the ball game to win more often, okay? It's having that no-fear approach. Now, the third thing that is going to move you from here up to your maximum potential spectrum. So when you play good and everything's going your way mentally, I'm not talking about in the game, I'm talking about mentally, you'll play at 95% or whatever your human potential is. But when you play bad, you're still going to be 90%. You're still going to be a great player. And that the third thing is have a game plan, right? Now when you see Rue, your mind is automatically going to calculate what are his weaknesses, okay? And you see how this picture is going? So now we've gone from, oh, we're going to take an automatic loss, I'll just do my best, from playing against Daigo, to now we're playing against Rue, and now we're thinking, I'm not afraid to lose, I've played against Rue 1,000 times and beat him. And now we're thinking, the third point to move us up to here is, we are going to execute our game plan and not let him execute his, right? Not let Rue do his thing. We're going to execute our game plan by utilizing the knowledge that we have of Rue's weaknesses, okay? We're gonna take advantage of what we know, what our character do against Rue, to dominate him on his weaknesses. Whether that be, you know, using Balrog and waiting for him to throw a fireball and EXing or headbutting through his fireball and hitting him and being patient and just chipping him that way, or zoning him, or just setting up a range where Rue's weak. I mean, there's lots of things you could do. And we're totally taking losing out of the picture in our mind, and we're totally taking who we're playing out of our mind. And now we're being a strategist. We're thinking, we're playing against Rue. Rue's weak from outside of his low roundhouse range, really weak. And I can just sit here and I can pressure on him, and he knows that if he throws a fireball, I'm gonna get him, right? And so you're just gonna lock him down, and then you're gonna execute your game plan. You're gonna put him on the defensive, and then you're gonna start dominating him because you're doing all this instinctively. There's no equation of human in the picture at all. You're just doing what you know how to do based on the weaknesses of that character, executing your game plan to beat that character, taking advantage of his weakness. If you do all those three things, watch what happens. All of a sudden, you're gonna start winning, and then that flash into your head might be, oh, I am playing against Daigo, because people are only human, they can't do what I say to a T. And then you might think that after you beat him one game or something, and you think like, I just beat Daigo, like, I can do this, you know? And then it'll snap in your head about what I'm talking about. by playing against the character. Don't be afraid to lose. Execute your game plan based on the character's weaknesses. It'll all snap in your head, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Is that any one of you could beat any player on Earth at any given time. At any moment, you have the potential to be the best player in the world. I mean, there's been magical moments with all of your gameplays to you were like, dang, I wish I could do that again. You could do that every single time. You just have to train your mind to accept these three things, okay? So you can move to, people just come out of nowhere. And notice that some of the newer guys that you've never even heard of before, they come in the scene and they beat really great players, and you never even heard of them. The reason they do that is because they're not afraid of that player. So they're taking number one out of it because they don't even know who the hell they're playing against, so they don't care, right? Number two, they're not afraid to lose because they don't know who the hell they're playing against, and they're just trying to win. And number three, they're executing their game plan based on their character's weaknesses, and they're winning. So that it's like they're inherently doing, the right thing to narrow the span. And then look, some of these guys, they play in this tight range all the time. And then again, some people go to tournaments and they can't keep it together mentally, and they might be great players, but they go from here, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, man, this guy, he's just not that good. And then the next day he's like, man, how can this guy be that bad that day? I can't beat him today. And there's a lot of players like that. I mean, me personally, I've played in a lot of tournaments. I mean, outside Street Fighter is only like 1% of the tournaments that I've played in from my online gaming experience. And I've totally made those mistakes. I mean, let's talk about Street Fighter. One time, I was playing in a tournament, and I was thinking like, oh, I'm in the Final Four. It's going to be easy street to win this thing. And then they announced, and then I started thinking like, who do I not want to play of the three people left with me in the top four? Who do I not want to play? That's like the wrong thinking, right? And then sure enough, I had to play that guy, and then I'm like already thinking the wrong thing, and then here goes Jeff's greatness bar, and all of a sudden, Jeff's like just above average, and then I got crushed, right? It was my own fault. If I'm able to play at my maximum potential, I know I could beat anyone in the world. I know that I can. Because when I play at my maximum level, I mean, you know when you're playing what mistakes you're making and what vulnerabilities that you have when you're playing. So each one of you know that if you do certain things and you're able to execute, that you're going to be one tough sucker to beat. I mean, you know it. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my little philosophy on the mental approach, because this is the key. This is one of the keys, besides the rest of the part that I'm going to get to in the coming months, of what it takes to be world championship level in anything. Is you got to have world championship mentality. Don't be afraid of the player. Don't even think about him. That's number one. Don't be afraid to lose. That's number two. Literally, don't be afraid to lose. 3, execute your game plan. Put the pressure on him. Your game plan isn't to sit in the corner and block fireballs all day. I know that's not your game plan. Whatever the hell it is, execute it. And don't be afraid. Okay? So I hope that this, I know this is a little bit different type of Street Fighter video that a lot of people aren't used to, but I'm telling you that learning how to push fierce at the right time is only, 20% of the game. Timing is only one thing. You got to have the right mental approach. And when you have the right mental approach and your brain feels like it could do it, you would just be amazed what could come out of you when your brain believes in something. You would just be amazed what you could do. It's like a computer just took over your body. You could achieve anything. Believe me. So I hope that helps you guys, and I'll look forward to doing another video trying to help people reach that championship level. And you guys have a happy new year. And there goes my dumb ruler. Thanks, you guys. Bye.